Have you ever looked at a stadium packed with screaming fans and just not gotten it? I mean, while millions of people are losing their minds over a game, there's a huge chunk of the population that feels, well, nothing at all. Today, we're going to dig into the fascinating science of why your brain might just be hardwired to tune sports out completely. Oh, you know the scene, right? You're at the party, everyone's got their eyes glued to the TV, they're screaming, they're high-fiving, and you're just standing by the snack table, kind of wondering if the guacamole is going to run out. If you've ever felt like a total outsider in a world obsessed with sports, trust me, you are not alone. And let's get one thing straight right off the bat. This has nothing to do with you being boring or not having any passion. Nope. It all comes down to some really fundamental, measurable differences in how our brains are wired. You're not broken. Your brain is just on a different frequency. Okay, so to really get this, we have to go back. I mean, way back. We need to talk about one of the most powerful forces in all of human history, the tribe. Think about it. For literally thousands of years, being part of a group wasn't a hobby. It was about survival. Your tribe was everything. And today, sports teams tap directly into that ancient primal wiring. When a fan is watching their team, their brain actually releases oxytocin. That's the same hormone that bonds a mother to her newborn baby. It literally makes them feel like those players are family. It's wild.
And right here, this is where we see the big split. People who aren't really into sports often have a quieter tribal instinct. You know, their personal identity just isn't so tangled up in belonging to a massive group. They don't have that automatic us versus them switch that flips on. To put it simply, they just don't need a team to feel complete.
All right, so it's not just ancient psychology. It's also about modern brain chemistry. Because, let me tell you, the brain of a sports fan in the middle of a big game is, well, it's a wild cocktail of some really powerful chemicals.
And this isn't some small group of people we're talking about. A whopping 60% of Americans follow sports. That means, for the majority of the population, this specific brain chemistry is firing on all cylinders. So, what in the world is actually going on in there?
It all comes down to one little chemical, dopamine. Every single play in a game is unpredictable, right? And that uncertainty creates this anticipation that triggers a hit of dopamine. That's the feel-good reward chemical. Since you never know when the next reward is coming, a great catch, a big score, it becomes super addictive. It's the exact same logic that makes slot machines impossible to walk away from. Now get this, your lack of interest might not even be a conscious choice. Some really cool research suggests that tiny variations in your genes, specifically your dopamine receptor genes, can actually predict how much you'll care about watching sports. Seriously, your indifference could literally be written into your DNA. Okay, so beyond the ancient instincts and the modern brain chemistry, there's another fascinating psychological layer to this whole thing. It turns out that for a lot of people, sports fandom is deeply, deeply connected to their sense of who they are and their own self-esteem. Yeah, psychologists actually have a name for this. It's called burgeoning. It stands for basking in reflected glory. And it's basically when you feel a personal sense of victory because a group you identify with does something great, even though, you had absolutely nothing to do with it.
And this quote just nails it. I want you to listen for this the next time you're around sports fans. When their team wins, you'll always hear, "We won." But if the team loses, all of a sudden it's, they lost. That tiny little change in pronoun is a totally subconscious trick the brain plays to protect its ego by creating distance from the failure.
So here's the key difference, right? For people who aren't fans, self-esteem tends to be a lot more stable. It comes from the inside, from your own achievements, your values, not from the emotional roller coaster of a sports team's performance that you have zero control over.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. Does this mean people who don't like sports are just less empathetic? No, not at all. It just means their empathy is focused somewhere else. Just think of your emotional energy like a budget. We all only have so much we can spend in a day. Sports fans invest a huge chunk of their budget into their teams, but if you're a non-fan, you're just investing that same emotional energy into other things. You're still getting those same emotional highs, that deep feeling of connection, but you might get it from listening to a piece of music, working on a social cause you believe in, or pouring energy into your relationships or a creative project. Your brain is still chasing the exact same reward, it's just shopping in a different department. And this really brings us to the heart of it all. At the end of the day, the divide between fans and non-fans might just come down to one of the most basic human drives we have: the search for a compelling story, for meaning. Sports fans get really good at what's called parasocial investment. They are spectators who are deeply emotionally invested in a story, a one-way relationship with their team. Non-fans, on the other hand, often prefer to be participants in their stories. They would rather put their energy into narratives where their own actions can actually change the outcome.
See, both groups are chasing that incredible feeling of flow, that state where you're completely absorbed in what you're doing. For some, that's the last 2 minutes of a nail-biter game. For you, maybe it's getting lost in a great book, solving a really tough problem, or having one of those deep conversations that totally changes how you see things. One isn't better than the other. They're just different roads to the same place.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? If you don't care about sports, you are not broken. You're not missing some essential piece of the human experience. Your brain's reward system, your tribal instincts, your sources of meaning, they're all just tuned to a different channel. And you know what? That is completely 100% okay.
Because in the end, we are all just looking for a great story to be a part of. A sports fan finds theirs on the field. The real question for the rest of us is, what amazing story are you trying to write with your life?